All right. So, Chris, you're usually good for kickoffs. Go ahead.
This movie, someone told me to watch this about 9 or 10 years ago, and it's one of those like I'll put it on the list. This is before we all had lists, and I really wish I'd seen this because I had the best friggin' time watching this. Um, it's got a little bit of it takes a minute to get going, and then there's that initial set piece where he's getting chased around the building and falls off the top of the building onto the car,
No, he
and then
jumped.
there's that crazy car chase. Yeah, right. And then there's another kind of slow burn in the middle where, in all admittance, I was having a hard time keeping track of which gang was chasing which other gang, and then at the end I realized it didn't really matter because this guy's stuck in the middle, and one of the all-time great screen lunatics is right there, like alternately having like a casual conversation, and then like the next scene
The guy who hired him.
stabbing like 14 people in 3 seconds.
The dog guy. We called him the dog guy.
The dog guy.
The
Okay,
dog
the dog
guy,
guy.
yeah.
And then just a couple of just massively crazy set pieces, culminating on that great one in and around that boat.
Right.
And I actually went to go look and like, what else has this guy done?
I'm sorry.
This is the
I'm
second
just laughing
movie, by
thinking
the
about
way.
the boat and all the minor axe wounds that happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, like at a certain point, he's like running around, and it's like he's being chased by zombies in like a Walking Dead, or well, no, they move slow in that one. I guess it would be
No matter when he was
World
being
War Z
chased,
or something.
it was
Only
never
they've all
too
got. They don't have guns. They've all got knives and axes and pipe wrenches.
But it's
Yeah.
also
And
Benny
soup
Hill.
bones.
It's Benny Hill. But
It's
when he
absolutely
gets chased
Benny
by
Hill.
one guy or two cops, it's always like 30 guys are after him at
Yeah.
any given time.
Oh, Jared's
But the
coming.
action
Jared's
scenes
coming in
were
with
really
something.
well done. I always had a great sense of place and who was going, like where everybody was in relation to the peril.
Oh no.
And yeah, this is a
the
great
direction,
movie.
the way that the shots were laid out were extremely clear. You knew where you
Yeah.
were. The sense of place was incredible.
I'm gonna
Sorry,
disagree.
sorry, I have to disagree.
I'm gonna disagree
There's
too.
several parts in this movie where it completely falls apart cinematographically. Like
Okay.
the cinematography completely betrays the plot. There are points at which they go all shaky cam,
Yep.
like they're trying to do
There's a bit too much of that.
They're trying to do a Bourne movie, but they don't understand that the thing that the Bourne movies are really good at is centering a place and going around it.
Mhm.
And there's several points where I was just like, didn't he just come around this corner? Or didn't he just like go down that flight of stairs or whatever? Like and also they do a really good job, I think, in the beginning laying out, not the beginning, but the beginning of the part where he's going to plan the murder, laying out what the
Soul.
geography of it all is.
Yes.
And then that gets betrayed by the way they shoot it. Like you do lose some of that in the way, and then it gets better later on in the movie with like the car chase and stuff like that.
Although the car chase, Tad, when it comes to its ultimate conclusion, they pretty much give up on geometry and geography and just show a bunch of cars colliding into each other
It's like a car ballet.
out of nowhere. You don't even know where those other cars came
Or
The most
Within
confusing
Blues
intersection.
Brothers.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
Blues Brothers.
Brothers.
It's when all the cop cars
Yeah.
Yeah.
keep hitting each other in Blues Brothers.
All right,
Yeah,
all right.
I got that. I agree 100% with Tad that it was better building tension and telling the story of these characters than when it actually got down to the nitty gritty of the action scenes. The exception being probably the chase through the boat, which was pretty fucking gripping.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
the most confusing part for me was where he kills the professor the first time, and the professor has blood all over him. He just like
Yeah.
stabs him in the gut.
right.
And then you go away, and then like a half an hour later, you come back and you have that same scene where it's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah, what
the
was that?
driver killing.
Was it
the
a
professor.
flashback? What was
Was that
going
a
on there?
flash
no,
forward?
he's
What was that?
imagining it. It's
That's
a
what
flash.
I
Oh, that's him
thought.
So he
imagining
ran it through the
killing
first time. He was running it through in his head.
Right.
Right,
It's a
right.
flash forward to something that didn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
There it is. I'm gonna do this.
It's part of his
Nice,
planning.
Cut his thumb off. It's gonna be nice. Everyone has pancakes afterwards.
Well, and
Great.
he sits there and he keeps trying to cut the thumb off because in his mind it's really easy to cut someone's thumb off. And apparently he's never disarticulated a chicken before and didn't realize you have to pull it apart and twist.
You gotta
and
find
then
the,
you can
you gotta
cut
find the joint.
tendons.
You got to get in between the joints.
Right, unless you have a cleaver, like you're not doing that with a regular
an axe.
kitchen knife.
I'm surprised that guy didn't have a cleaver too.
They didn't have a cleaver in that shitty apartment they left him in.
My old man was in the Marines, and he got stationed in Korea, and he was in the Philippines with the ROK Army, right? They had a couple of units there. He said those guys are tough. They can take anything, PT outdoors in the rain and the snow and all 9 yards. This film shows how tough Koreans are. I mean,
This guy takes more abuse than Bruce Willis.
Taking 20 axes to the torso and stabbing and just finishing the scene. I mean, I
actually do want to say something though about that. Is there's two tropes in this movie that I really don't like. Like I'm really tired of. The first one is the extended montage of the guy doing his normal job before everything happens. Like that scene where he's driving the cab just goes on and on and on and on. And then the second one is the accidental badass. The guy who has no plot reason to be able to fuck a bunch of dudes up in a stairwell.
That's
the guy who has no reason to be able to fight his way out of a shipping container they're trying to lock him in. It's just
he's a cab driver.
He tells the story about rabies and then kind of gets into a bar fight and loses. And then immediately we're supposed to believe that this guy's fucking, Jet Li when he gets to South Korea. And it's just one of those things to me where it's like I'm tired of that particular trope. And it may not have been as much of a trope in 2010 when this was made.
No, you're right. It's been overused in the last 20 years. It's like Joe Schmo from Kokomo was actually an amazing killer with no training whatsoever.
Well, and we've gone the other direction where we have the normal guy who can do a bunch of killing, but then they fill in the backstory.
Right.
They do that in John Wick very effectively.
And Taken, I think.
Taken, they do it in what's that Bob Odenkirk movie too? Nobody. They very effectively in Nobody too, where they give you a reason why this guy can fuck a bunch of people up on a bus.
Right.
And this movie is just like this guy had a shitty childhood and now he's a good knife murderer.
Right. American Ultra was another one where they really play with that because it's like, how come this guy's so good? And then you find out.
Or the first person movie too that you like.
Yeah.
Me?
What's this? Yeah, it's a Russian.
Hardcore Henry.
Hardcore Henry. Yes,
okay.
Hardcore Henry.
But
that's not me.
I like that movie. I like that movie.
Chris.
I thought part of it was because they make a big deal out of where this guy came from. Like, was it the name of that district in China that it's mostly Korean?
YabtM.
Yeah, and that it seemed like there's life is really cheap there, and that you can. So he probably thought once he was stuck there that he might as well fight because he had nothing to live for.
But the only fight you see him get into is one where he flips over a mahjong table and then doesn't even really get into a fight. And then
not even a fight.
And then is behind the bar after getting his ass kicked.
Well, I'm just saying there's a potential's there. That's what I kind of feeling. Then there's some cultural thing we're missing here. You
guys are all doing the thing that I did not do immediately after watching it, which was think about what I had just seen. I just was like,
and that's the downfall.
No, it was.
There's your downfall.
I can't imagine as a film critic that you wouldn't want to think about how this movie works because
I just knew that as I was watching it, I had a stupid shit-eating grin on my face.
Yeah, I was entertained.
At what point, though?
Like I said, the first time was the scene where he's being chased by cops around the building, and then it was it really kicked into high gear like about 2/3 of the way into it.
Yeah,
like
the
more time we got to spend with the I don't. I guess it's basically like there's the cab
Miyun,
driver.
Miyun
there's
and
the-
Taiwan are the two.
Miyun, yeah.
There's,
Crime lords.
President Kim.
Taiwan, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
So there's
Taiwan
that guy.
Kim.
It was kind of fun watching him have to continually eat shit all the time. That was fun. But
But, you know,
anytime.
But also,
anytime-
how cool would it have been to see the scene in the basement?
anytime this
that you
fucking
don't
guy was
see?
on the
That guy.
screen- Anytime this guy was on the screen, I was happy.
But the thing
Yeah,
is,
he's the best. He's the best.
he was such a
character.
badass. It's like the people when he jumped in the water says, "No, what are you guys waiting for?"
Yeah.
The water.
Yeah, why are you
Right.
heading in the other direction?
But
I
again,
know.
Funny.
when he walks into that basement
Uh-huh.
and you don't see any of it until he's pulling the hatchet out of the guy's head,
Yes.
like, how cool would that basement scene have been?
The movie does that a couple of
I'm
times.
kind of glad they cut away from it. Actually,
No,
It's
it's the Simpsons. It's the Simpsons thing where they're looking at the little guy in the white suit out on the lawn, and
Uh-huh.
it's like, oh, come on, Marge, you know he's going to do something cool. And then they drag Homer back inside, and he gets thrown through the window, and he says 1,000 apologies and jumps back out the window and continues to fuck up the Russians. Like, you want to see what he's doing on the lawn. Like in a comedy, that's fine, but in an action drama, you want to see what he's doing in that basement.
I thought it was funny, and I think that's why it was done the way it was done. I mean, you could say it's a cheat, but
I think the last.
It would
act-
be funny if it kept happening. If it kept happening and you didn't see it
oh
every
yeah,
time,
running gag. Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, it's a better way
because
to
you
handle
see
it.
all of this and you see all of the fucking the whole fight between the two of them in the bus depot. Like,
The movie would have been even longer, and it already is too long.
Now the fight the buzz.
I tell you, sorry,
that was
the other time
penultimate-
that this movie really started to work for me was I think the relationship between Crazy Axe Knife Guy and President Kim.
Yeah.
With the phone call,
Mhm.
working their way to that whatever you want to call it, lunch or dinner, where he's like, this guy could not be more relaxed and batshit crazy at the same time. And very quickly, Kim realizes, oh my God, I'm sitting across the table from a crazy person.
Yeah.
And this guy, like super relaxed, it quickly becomes like, I'm the alpha. You're going to do whatever the fuck I tell you to do right now. And I'm going to be so casual about it. It's comical.
Right.
It was
Very
great
much-
because
that
Kim
was-
has henchmen, and they're all afraid of him. And Kim is established as an alpha until this guy shows
Oh,
up.
this guy shows up.
and then
It's
it's
like,
just
very
oh,
much
no,
it's
you're
very
going
much like
real
point
crazy
it's very
now.
much like Point Blank.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in Point Blank, where it's like this guy's so far removed from the actual violence that he's
Yeah.
contributing to that as
Mhm.
soon as that violence comes close to him, he
He
can't
folds.
deal with it.
Can't
Folds.
deal.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's more like a kind of a cultural thing. This guy who goes to church and he's a local like South Korean gangster type. He has everything under control, and he meets a guy from this district in China full of Korean expats who don't give a fuck about anything.
Nothing
Yeah.
to lose.
Yeah. Nothing to lose. They're all just like they're sitting there in a room eating cow parts.
Cow parts on the,
Or-
cow parts on
or-
the bone.
Yeah,
Or-
exactly. And so that's
Or rabid dogs that
Or-
got buried. the
I
night
thought they were
Yes,
dogs,
exactly.
actually.
yeah, it could be that bone was too big for a dog. But anyway,
It was, yeah.
that was there
No,
was
but
a-
he says in the beginning that he buried the
true.
dog, and then they dug the dog up that night and ate it.
That's right.
Like-
That's right. But that shows you how badass these guys are. And so in that way, that's kind of an advertisement for the people from this area. It's like they are just don't give a fuck about anything, which is part of why our protagonist got away with everything in terms of like being able to kill everybody because he didn't give
Until he didn't.
until he bled out. But there's no story. Yes, John.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Can anybody explain to me? I have a couple of things that I was confused by about this movie. I mean, there's a fuck ton of
This movie
characters.
is confusing.
It
Jesus.
is. It is a
And
little
like you said, if you
I
just
feel like-
relax and accept it, it's okay. That you don't that you're
You
confused
let it
sometimes.
wash over you.
Let it wash
Exactly
over
right,
you.
Tim.
But okay, so Mune, the dog guy,
Yeah.
why did he turn on our protagonist? Why did he turn on him and start trying to kill him instead of?
That's a fair question.
He
That's a fair
always
question.
meant to have him killed. He thought he
Yeah.
would get killed.
No, he's
doing the
disposable.
job.
He's a
The
disposable hit. He's a disposable hitman.
And then when he
Well,
became
no,
not
he
disposed,
wasn't just a disposable hitman. He was a patsy.
Right. I thought it was the Patsy thing.
It's a
They
patsy thing.
they actually hired the other guys to kill him,
Uh-huh.
and they expected shit, I can't remember his name.
Cab
The main
driver.
character.
Taiwan.
Yeah, Yeah, no, not Taiwan. The cab driver. They expected him to fail
To fail.
and die.
Because he was a
And-
schmo, and they thought he would
Right,
naturally.
but
Right,
they
and then
would
they could blame
capture
it.
him.
And
Yeah,
then when he
blame it
did
on
not
him.
die, then he became a liability. So everybody
Right.
wanted him dead.
Yeah,
Right.
And then
Plus
who's
the fact
other-
that Taiwan wanted to get Myung killed.
yeah.
a
Right, he
question-
sends his boys to China and they fuck up royally.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. That's
Yeah.
right. There's
So
a
And he
question
sets
two.
that whole fucking apartment complex on fire.
I
too.
know. Shit,
Yeah,
that was
great.
crazy. I mean, there was this film.
After
on a- this
killing
film-
like 40 guys with
Yes,
a
I-
knife.
I want to say that what you were saying about it being slow in the beginning, I was always anticipating the first couple of fights because I'd seen it before.
Oh,
So there's a little bit of tension there as you're
For
waiting
some
for
reason,
when
I
does
thought
he-
this was a war movie when it was recommended to me 10 years ago. I don't know.
kind
why.
of sounds like one. Well,
And
yeah,
you know what? Until the chase with the cops, when all the cops show up at the building and they chase
all the
him through
all the
building,
Keystone cops. Yeah,
Right.
Until
The
that
Keystone
scene,
Cops.
until that scene, I thought it was going to be a little more of a low key, like a gritty
Right.
drama, and
Oh,
it
no.
very well could have been. And then it's like that's
It
bonkers.
takes off at that
And
point.
then
And then all of a
the
sudden,
rest
it's
of the
only
movie is
God
like-
forgives.
yeah,
Yes.
pretty much. Yeah. Now, mind you, at the
Pretty
part
good
at the end at the bus depot where it's the bad guy and the cab driver going, trying to murder each other with axes. I'm sitting there watching. This is probably the bloodiest film I have ever seen
It's
of this type.
pretty.
There are bloodier horror films, but they're kind of silly. Like
Yeah, this is completely like.
this was one of the bloodiest realistic films.
When he
I've-
whacks what's his name in the face. in
Oh,
the
I know
back,
it's like
basically.
I couldn't get over. It's like this. Everything looks like it hurts. This is
Yes.
hard to watch.
Yes.
I mean, I would say like The Raid is up there too. Like
Well,
this is
That's,
this is very
that's what I
Raid
kept thinking about
territory.
watching this, Tad. Like this is right in. Like I feel like I need to pick the Raid and the Raid 2 now.
But I would rather watch The Raid than this, truthfully.
Well, those movies are insanely great,
Although
and they're
I will say this movie is beautiful.
It is
Like
well,
there's
Yeah.
like shit like this, and
yeah.
there are parts in this movie where it's like, damn, you know how to fucking shoot a movie. You
Right, yeah.
legitimately know how to shoot a movie.
Well,
When
you know
he
what?
was up in the woods, did anybody think he was going to walk all the way home? Because that was what Sheila and I were.
You had to walk through North Korea to do it. It's not going to happen.
That's gonna be that's good.
Right.
You're gonna run into a
Pretty
bunch of
problematic.
landmines
You
and,
can probably-
no trees.
You could probably sneak into China, but not through North Korea.
No, they've got-
No, you could sneak into China through North Korea. You can't sneak into North Korea through
Through
South
China.
Korea.
You guys stick through the credits.
yeah,
Yeah, there's that
Either-
mid
There's that
scene.
scene.
Might get
yeah.
off the fucking train.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's
So
all.
now you're sad.
Life is hopeless. That's
Yes.
the thing.
Okay, question number 2. Who was the other Kim that worked at the bank? I did not get that whole plot line at all.
I by that
He's
point I'm
the
like,
guy-
I don't know.
So what's her name? The wife of the professor
Yes.
Yes.
got him to
That's
hire the hit
That's right.
originally.
Oh, he paid for the hit.
That's right.
Right. Right. I forgot. He was the one that was in the bar.
He
talking-
was the money man or the
Money
bad
man.
man.
Okay.
But Taewon Kim also paid for the hit.
Right.
They both paid for the hit.
Well,
Right.
because he slept with the
He
professor's
slept
wife.
with right. The professor slept with his wife and cheated on his wife, and that's why they got together and
Right.
were like, we're gonna pay for the hit.
And man, a whole lot of people had to die for that.
And cab driver's wife slept with one of those guys too.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
I'll make an aside that Tad pointed out. There's a kind of a poor sense of place in some of this film. The fact that it looks really nice is that they did a lot of post pushing on this thing. It's all
You think?
blues and grays and black and white. The problem with that, you push too much of that, you start losing a sense of place because it all looks alike.
No, like this here looks like you could put Snowpiercer in
Yeah,
this.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do too
Although
much.
I still think this
about-
is a beautiful shot. I
I
really
thought about
is a nice shot.
Snowpiercer, the movie, which was again like in the middle of it. You guys know there's another scene with people attacking each other with farm implements, basically.
Yeah. There's
There's something about and in old
Let's move
boy,
on from
the Korean-
Snowpiercer.
the Korean old boy, there's a hammer. What is it
Yes.
about Korean movies and the fucking non-gun thing?
I don't know
Because
they were hard to get guns out there.
It's hard to get guns.
however, fucking the two dumbest cops in history both have guns.
I'm thinking like, wait, there were guns in this
That
movie
was
because there
funny,
that
man.
scene.
What was with those cops and those little pop guns they had? These little tiny revolvers. You know, it's like,
38.
ping, ping, ping. It was like
They're
what the
38.
38 specials.
Were
Yeah.
they look
Oh,
like
they're real
This
guns.
shit, this
look
shit
like 20
isn't a fucking. This isn't a fucking.
That didn't look like a 30. It
I
looked like
just
a
reached in the
25,
box.
man. They were like tiny little guns.
I just pulled that one out of the box.
I love that he has one like a cartoon character. It just comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in my top desk drawer with my whiskey.
Well, that's important. It's right next to the pencils and pens and you know,
Right.
your password folder. Yeah, exactly. It makes sense.
But this this movie is not perfect. Like I said, I was confused for a great deal of it, but it's at the point where you just let it wash over you, man. I was sitting here with a crap-eating grin, enjoying
The
myself.
set pieces are incredible in this.
That
And there's a
pieces
lot
were
of
nuts.
connective
The car
tissue
chase was nuts.
Trying to advance the plot between the set pieces, but the action set pieces are astounding. They
Well,
are-
every so often,
axes.
yeah,
every so often, there's a really brilliant scene.
yeah, there is.
The scene where he's going up the stairs and he's looking at the lights and how
Yeah.
the lights are turning on and off.
Yeah.
And then eventually he's sitting there on the stairs and he starts throwing the crushed up cigarette packs over through
Through the bars.
through the
Through the bars to set off the motion.
when he
Right,
fucks
right.
it up the
Very
first
clever.
time and it doesn't work,
Mhm.
and he's like, fuck, God, and he like goes and gets another one, and then he throws it a little harder and it
Mhm.
sets it off, and he sits there and he counts.
Uh-huh.
He's just like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the elevator's going up and he's counting as the elevator's going up how
Yeah.
much time it takes between floors.
It's clever
Like-
stuff.
I wish that had meant anything, but
Oh, it was fun to watch, though. Like,
No, but it was. It was,
watching
like,
gears turn in the cab driver's head.
Yeah.
His performance is like, I'm gonna figure out how to get out of this
well,
thing now.
and they're gonna put him into the shipping container, and he's got that moment of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go home in the shipping container, and as soon as he walks into it, he has that realization.
Oh shit!
He sees
Well, he
Tokyo.
sees that everything's
Tokyo
addressed
on
to
one side of the
Tokyo.
package.
Right.
Yeah,
They're gonna-
But no, but that's what I'm saying. Like he has that realization, that snap realization, and it changes in his mind, and he's immediately turning around and taking the knife out and like going after those
Oh,
guys.
Oh, that was hilarious. Why does he have a knife as he's stabbing them?
Wouldn't you
Stabbing
have a
him.
knife?
Well, the guy he stabs goes, he's got a knife.
Why does he have a
I
knife?
think they were
Why
supposed
does
to.
he
They were supposed to pat him down for they put him in the
it's
container.
his superpower, man.
Yeah.
He's got
Well,
a
and then
knife.
he backs the dude with the shovel, the other guy, all the way up until he falls off the back of the platform.
Didn't have to
Which-
kill him.
Which
Exactly.
again, talking
Right.
about blood, somehow several people fall to their deaths from broken necks in this, and then there's immediately a fucking blood angel around them.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little weird.
Hey, what was in that white
They're
wrap
all
box
hemophiliacs.
at the end? What was in the white wrap box?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you guys
His
that.
wife's ashes, or the person who got killed ashes.
Blood
Yeah,
stickers.
it's the ashes they gave to him.
Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
Yes,
Huh.
and
Blood
and,
stickers.
and
I
his
have a
wife-
box
Well, it
of
was a
ashes
Hannibal Fredo
just like
Garcia
it
situation.
upstairs.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure.
No,
it was
no,
gonna
it's
happen.
definitely the ashes of the woman he believes to be his ex-wife.
Okay, that's right. $2,000
We find out
down
is
from
alive,
3,000, whatever
not a
it
train.
won to.
We find out that he may think she was alive. We don't know. The
I
guy
guess we don't,
can't.
that post-credit scene. We don't know when that's happening, right?
And also,
Right,
we don't
it's
know
out
that,
of time.
Afterwards.
we don't know that did happen because he's having the vision of her getting on the train as he's dying.
Right.
Also, the guy couldn't identify her, so it could be her. It could not be her. It's
He got dumped into the sea.
which is actually kind of, to me, that's actually one of the cooler parts of the film is that you don't get closure on that because he never
Yeah.
got closure on it.
Right.
Like this movie is very much in his point of view. Like
I
even
want to be
things
that
that
old
happen-
guy whose boat he hijacks. He's just stoic, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, we're going out. I'll take you to
All right,
China.
we're going to China. Here we go.
And then
there
halfway
we go.
across.
Oh, you bled
dead now.
out. You're
They
dead.
bled. Over the side. That's it.
Throw you over.
which
That's it.
bookends the woman who died in the
On the
fishing
way.
boat getting thrown off the side when
Yeah.
the Zodiacs are leaving.
Right.
That's
And
right.
the movie is called The Yellow Sea because that's where you end
That's
up.
where it all ends.
Man.
Yeah.
Jimbo. Yo, Jimbo.
Yeah.
How did this get on your radar?
Yeah, good question.
So
You
I'm
know,
Jim.
I think it was shortly after my wife died, and it was free on either Amazon or Netflix. And I said, "Sounds interesting. I know where the Yellow Sea is." And I just liked it.
And you thought it was going to be about the Korean War.
No, I thought it was. It said that it was like modern day.
Also, is it dumb? It's
Also,
a
the Korean War took place more on the other side.
Yeah.
I want you to know the Korean War is still going on. It's
Yeah,
just
we
an
covered this.
armistice.
We covered this a couple days ago. Also, wasn't the Yellow Sea kind of isn't an American Latinization of Yalu? It's called the Yalu Sea over there, isn't it?
I guess. Yeah, it's probably.
If you say so.
All right. Well, never mind. That's a dumb way to end this. All right, thumbs.
Sorry.
No, 1.5 thumbs up.
Again,
Yeah, I like
I
it.
don't mind seeing an extremely bloody film once in a while. And this was extremely bloody. So that was
Yeah, and I hadn't seen a film anything like this in quite a
But
while.
it's not.
You know what? Scott, please pick Super.
Oh, that is an extremely bloody film.
It is also a movie about a guy with a pipe wrench.
That's
Yeah.
true. And the thing is, that visceral thing about the axe or like a knife or a pipe wrench, it's like you watch it and you have that empathetic reaction. It's like, that's
More so than gunshots.
yeah, more so.
Yeah,
It's not
guns-
abstract like
guns
guns
are
are. It's like,
too-
that's gonna hurt when it makes contact. And
Guns are too abstract, you know.
Yeah, it
If
is.
you have to kill somebody with an axe,
You need to save that for the next movie.